At our holiday trip, she said, I met someone new who makes me feel alive. I planned to propose, but she saved me a fortune. Later, she came back, begging and crying after that. Someone cheated on her. Hey, Reddit! My ex thought a vacation in Japan was the perfect time to tell me she'd fallen for another man. So, I packed my ring, my pride, and a plan. Before I show you how that turned out, let me start from the beginning. My name's Xavier Clark, 33 years old, cybersecurity engineer. I spend most of my time catching other people's mistakes before they crash systems. I guess that's ironic, considering what happened next. My girlfriend, well, back then, was Lena Hart, 30, marketing strategist, professional attention addict. If validation were currency, she'd have been on the Forbes list. She called herself a visual storyteller, which basically meant she lived through her phone. We'd been together 3 years. She was loud, charming, magnetic, the kind of person people noticed when she walked into a room. I liked that once. She brought color to my quiet world. Somewhere along the way, though, the color turned neon. Everything she did had to sparkle, trend, be seen. Lena had a thing for Japan. Ever since college, she'd been obsessed with anime, cherry blossoms, and tea ceremonies. She'd always say, one day, I'll go find myself there. So, I made it happen. 2 weeks off work, hotels booked, routes planned down to the train schedules. I wanted her dream trip to become ours. I also planned to propose. Tokyo Disneyland. Under the fireworks. Her perfect fairy tale. I'd even scouted a spot near the castle during a previous business trip. The ring was custom, platinum with a single diamond set low. Clean, understated, efficient. Like me. It wasn't about price, it was about permanence. On the flight, she sat beside me with her iPad propped up, watching an anime called Your Lie in April. Every few minutes, she paused the show to angle her phone toward the window for selfies. The flight attendant hadn't even dimmed the cabin lights yet, but she already had filters ready. I glanced over once, saw my reflection in the screen, and thought, she used to watch sunsets. Now she watches herself watching sunsets. She caught me looking and laughed. What? Nothing, I said. Just thinking about the trip. You're always thinking, she teased, sliding her earbuds in. Relax for once. I tried. I really did. The truth is, I loved her. Or maybe I loved who she'd been when we met. Back then, she was witty, sharp, genuinely curious about everything. We'd spent hours in bookstores arguing about philosophy, laughing over cheap takeout, dreaming about building something together. No filters, no audience, just us. But people change. Or maybe they just reveal more of who they were all along. She leaned her seat back and scrolled through her old photos, liking her own posts as she went. I can't wait to finally see Kyoto, she said without looking up. It's going to be so aesthetic. That word used to make me smile. Now it sounded like static. I nodded, half listening, mentally running through the itinerary. 5 nights in Kyoto, 6 in Tokyo, everything precise. I'd booked traditional ryokans, researched local spots, even found a small sushi place owned by a retired chef who only served 6 people a night. It wasn't about flexing money. It was about giving her something real. When she finally fell asleep, I pulled the ring box from my backpack just to feel its weight. Simple, solid, small enough to disappear in my palm. Simple, real. Everything she used to be, I whispered to myself. I thought about how we'd reached this point. The last year had been a tug of war between her world and mine. She wanted more adventures, more pictures, more moments that looked meaningful. I wanted things that were meaningful. Quiet nights, inside jokes, stability. She said I made her feel too safe, like she needed a little chaos to stay alive. I told her chaos was just poor planning with a poetic excuse. We laughed it off then, but we both knew it wasn't really a joke. The captain's voice broke through the cabin. Ladies and gentlemen, we're beginning our descent into Tokyo. Local time, 8:45 a.m. Lena stretched, refreshed, already unlocking her phone. We have to get matching yukatas. Oh, and visit Team Lab, and maybe do a kimono shoot. Can you take pictures for me? You're good at angles. Sure, I said. I've been training my whole life for this moment. She didn't catch the sarcasm. She was too busy framing her next post. Touchdown in Tokyo, dream come true. As the plane descended, the city unfolded below. Geometry and light, precise like code. I should have felt excited. Instead, I felt a strange calm, the kind you get right before a storm. This trip was supposed to seal our future. I wanted to give her the world, and I thought Japan would be the proof. But somewhere between planning hotels and picking the ring, I'd started noticing the gap between what she said she wanted and what she actually respected. They say Japan changes you. I just didn't know it'd turn her into a stranger and me into something colder. I wanted to start the trip with something that would actually mean something to her. Before Kyoto, I planned to stop in Tokyo to surprise her. Tickets to the Ghibli Museum. They were nearly impossible to get, but I managed to secure two. She'd always loved Studio Ghibli movies. Years ago, we'd watched Spirited Away together on my old couch, the night we said I love you for the first time. Back then, she cried during the ending and said, I wish life felt that magical. When I handed her the envelope outside the museum gates, she squealed and hugged me tight. For the first time in months, it felt like the old her was back. She took 100 photos inside, of course, but between them, she smiled genuinely. We spent hours wandering through the exhibits, talking about childhood dreams and favorite films. For a while, it felt easy again, like maybe this trip really could bring us back together. That hope didn't last long. A few days later, Kyoto greeted us with soft rain and the smell of spring. Cherry blossoms lined the narrow streets, and the air felt slower, calmer. I loved it instantly. Lena didn't. She was too busy turning the trip into a content reel. Every shrine became a backdrop. Every meal was a photo shoot. Hold my bag, she said, tossing it at me while fixing her hair. Get a better angle. No, lower. You're cutting off the temple roof. Tourists stared. I didn't care about them. I stayed quiet, snapping her photo against a wall of lanterns. She checked the screen. You need to focus more on lighting. It's not giving Kyoto aesthetic. I'll update my resume, I said flatly. Photographer/boyfriend. She rolled her eyes. The universal sign for, you're not fun anymore. That afternoon, she found a small boutique selling hand-dyed kimonos. I followed her inside, mostly out of habit. The shop was quiet, the owner polite, the air thick with incense. Lena tried on half the store before settling on one. Silk, crimson, embroidered cranes. The price tag said 108,000 yen, around $700. I'll take it, she said, smiling at the clerk. He's paying. He's American. The clerk laughed awkwardly. I didn't. I handed over my card and said, and apparently fluent in regret. Lena frowned. What's your problem? Nothing, I said. Just learning the art of letting go. She didn't catch the meaning. Or maybe she did and didn't care. On the way out, she looped her arm through mine. You take everything too seriously. You should enjoy life more. You're so boring sometimes, I said. Didn't realize responsibility was a mood killer. She scoffed. See? You can't even take a joke. She walked ahead, scrolling on her phone, probably checking which filter would make the kimono pop. I stayed a few paces behind, letting the crowd swallow the space between us. That night, while we ate dinner in a narrow alley near Gion, she brought it up again. There's this cultural art tour tomorrow morning, she said between bites of ramen. Local artists teach you traditional calligraphy and painting. It's authentic. I want to go. Sounds good, I said. I'll come with you. She froze mid-slurp, her chopsticks clinking against the bowl. You don't have to. It's kind of my thing. I don't mind watching you paint, I said. She sighed, already irritated. You can't control my schedule, Xavier. This isn't one of your tech meetings, I leaned back. Thank God, I said. My meetings have outcomes. Her glare could have cracked stone. She grabbed her bag and stood up. You always have to be right. Not always, I said. Just when I am. She left before finishing her food. I stayed, paid the bill, and watched the rain start to fall outside. It wasn't anger that sat in my chest. It was recognition. Something was slipping. Not love, that had been decaying quietly for months. What was disappearing now was respect. When we first met, we were a team. Now it felt like we were co-workers on a failing project, each trying to pretend the system still worked. Later that night, she came back to the ryokan smelling like perfume that wasn't hers and paint that didn't belong to me. She said the class went great and that she met some really inspiring people. I nodded, didn't ask for details. She talked for half an hour while I scrolled through tomorrow's itinerary on my phone. The sound of her voice blurred into background noise. I heard words like spiritual energy, creative flow, connection. None of it was about us. She eventually fell asleep mid-sentence, phone still glowing in her hand. I turned off the lamp and stared at the ceiling, counting the seconds between the raindrops tapping the window. That's when it hit me. The quiet. The kind that doesn't comfort, just reminds you something's dying. The first sign of failure in any system isn't noise. It's silence. By the second week, Lena had turned Kyoto into her playground. Every day started with the same line. I'm heading to the art studio. At first, I didn't think much of it. She'd always been drawn to creativity. But soon it became an obsession. She talked about the place nonstop. Its smell, the people, the vibe. Mostly she talked about Ren. Ren, the local artist who paints what people feel. Ren, who doesn't need words to express emotions. Ren, who apparently was a real soul. I kept my tone even. So, therapy with a brush? She didn't laugh. She just gave me that patronizing smirk that people wear when they think they've evolved beyond you. You wouldn't understand, she said. You're too emotionally numb. I didn't look up from my coffee. Emotions aren't art when you dump them on everyone else's canvas. She frowned, annoyed that I didn't take the bait. See, that's exactly what I mean. You don't feel things deeply. You analyze everything to death. Some of us call that self-control, I said. She shook her head. You always think being calm makes you superior. Not superior, I said. Just sane. The argument ended there. She stormed out, claiming she had to meet the creative team at the studio. By the time she got back, it was midnight. She smelled like turpentine, sweat, and someone else's cologne. I could have asked. I didn't. Instead, I looked up from my laptop and said, "You look inspired." She smiled faintly, as if the words were a compliment. Finally, someone who gets me. I nodded once. Yeah, must be why I'm invisible. Her smile vanished. You take everything so personally. Not everything, I said. Just the stuff that's mine. She rolled her eyes, muttered something about me being too serious, and disappeared into the bathroom. I heard the shower running for a long time. The next morning, she announced a small change to the itinerary. I canceled 2 of our Tokyo nights, she said over breakfast, casually stirring her tea. I looked up. You did what? Relax, she said. We'll stay near the art district instead. Ren said it's more authentic. You canceled my reservation without asking? It's our reservation, she corrected. And yes, because you never appreciate the moment. You just plan everything like it's a business trip. I leaned back. And you treat it like an audition. Her expression hardened. You're impossible. I'm trying to live a little. I noticed, I said. She sighed dramatically. You're overreacting. It's just a hotel. Sure, I said. And you're just crossing lines. That earned me silence. Her favorite kind of punishment. She packed her things for another art session, kissed me on the cheek without looking at me, and walked out. I didn't stop her. I just sat there, sipping my coffee, staring at the empty cup across from me. By afternoon, I moved our luggage myself. If she wanted authenticity, she could have it. The new hotel was smaller, noisier, closer to the art district like she wanted. The walls were thin. The air smelled like oil paint and incense. I wondered if she'd feel spiritually aligned with that. She came back late again, laughing too loudly at something on her phone. Her eyes were glassy, her smile exaggerated. How was your day? I asked. Transformative, she said. Ren says my brushstrokes have real emotion. Good, I said. Tell him to frame that emotion and sell it. Might cover next month's rent. She glared. Why do you always have to ruin things? Just balancing the tone, I said. She went to bed without another word. I stayed up checking work emails I didn't need to check, pretending to be busy so I wouldn't have to look at her. The next morning, she left earlier than usual. No explanation, no eye contact, just a casual "don't wait up." That day, I walked through Kyoto alone. The city was peaceful, the opposite of her energy. I passed couples taking photos under cherry blossoms, monks sweeping temple steps, kids chasing pigeons near the Kamo River. Everyone seemed present, connected. I envied that. When I got back that night, she was already in bed, facing the wall. Her phone buzzed twice before she silenced it. I caught a glimpse of a message preview. Just one word. Tomorrow. I didn't ask. I didn't need to. The next evening, I decided to test something. When she got home, I didn't say a word. No greeting, no questions, no sarcasm. Just silence. She noticed within minutes. What's wrong with you? Nothing. You're being weird. I'm just letting you talk, I said. She frowned. You're acting like I've done something. Have you? Her jaw tightened. You know what? You're paranoid. You always twist things. I smiled slightly. You said the same thing last time you lost an argument. She stormed into the other room, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. I waited a few seconds, then turned off the lights and went to bed. The next morning, she was gone. No note, no explanation, just gone. By afternoon, she texted, "Stayed near the studio again tonight. Early start tomorrow." I didn't reply. That night, I walked down to the vending machines outside and bought a can of hot coffee. It hissed softly as I opened it, steam curling in the cool air. I looked up at the dark sky, at the faint glow of the art district across the river, and realized something. I wasn't angry, not yet. Anger meant I still cared. I was just done pretending to be blind. Tokyo Disneyland looked like a painting that had come to life. Bright colors, laughter echoing from every corner, families posing for photos, couples holding hands under pastel banners. It was everything Lena used to say she wanted. Magic that feels real. Standing there, I couldn't tell if I'd brought her to her dream or her alibi. I'd rebooked a last-minute room near the resort that morning. If this was ending, it would end where I'd planned to begin. The ring had been sitting in my pocket since morning. I'd carried it through every ride, every fake smile, every crowd. Each hour that passed, it felt heavier. I couldn't tell if I was waiting for the right moment or just stalling to see if there was still a reason. She walked ahead, weaving through the crowd, phone in hand, taking videos of herself laughing. She laughed to herself, then showed me nothing. I nodded, silent. We stood in line for an hour to ride the carousel. She posted 3 stories while we waited. Captioned, "Still can't believe I'm here. Dream trip, Japan magic." I wasn't in a single one. By evening, my patience was as thin as the crowd's collective cheer. The sun began to set, painting the park gold. It should have been the moment, the perfect backdrop for a proposal. Instead, I just watched her from a few feet away, wondering how someone could be surrounded by so much light and still be so far gone. She turned toward me, serious for the first time all day. "We need to talk." That phrase lands the same every time. Flat, sharp, final. I said nothing. She motioned toward a small garden near the side of the park, away from the noise. It was quiet there, lanterns swaying above us, the castle glowing in the distance. She took a deep breath, like someone about to confess a crime she'd already forgiven herself for. "I've fallen for someone else." I didn't move. "Ren." She nodded quickly, relieved I said it first. "He makes me feel alive, Xavier. Like I can actually breathe. With you, it's different. You make me feel safe, like a brother." I looked at her for a long moment. "So you traded stability for sparkles." Classic. She flinched, eyes darting away. "I didn't mean to hurt you." "You didn't hurt me," I said. "You just freed me." Her lips trembled. "You're being cold." "Better cold than naive." She crossed her arms, defensive. "You always have to win, don't you? Even now." "This isn't a competition, Lena. It's a disqualification." That one landed. Her face twisted, pride cracking beneath her expression. "Don't do this," she whispered. "I'm being honest with you." I tilted my head. "Now? After weeks of pretending I was blind?" Her eyes filled with tears. "You're too logical for love, Xavier. You can't feel anything deeply. You don't fight for things. I don't fight for people who've already left." The first firework exploded behind her, painting her face red and gold. She jumped at the sound, then looked at me like she wanted to freeze time. "I thought this trip would fix us," she said. "I thought you'd have the decency to end it before you broke it." She looked away, tears streaking her makeup. The fireworks kept going, louder, brighter, mocking us with their timing. I slipped my hands into my pockets, the ring still inside. Her mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. I stepped past her, the smell of her perfume mixing with the smoke from the fireworks. "Enjoy your freedom, Lena. It comes with no warranty." She said something behind me. I didn't listen. As I walked through the glowing park, families clapped at the sky, children pointed at the colors, music swelled. Everything was joy, except the space around us. It felt like I was walking through a simulation that hadn't rendered properly. My phone buzzed once in my pocket. Probably her. I ignored it. I pulled out my phone, scrolled through her photos, the selfies, the laughs, the fake moments, and deleted them one by one. No hesitation, no drama. I kept walking toward the exit, the ring still in my pocket, the crowd still cheering, the sky still on fire. My heartbeat didn't even spike. That's how you know love's already dead, when betrayal feels like confirmation, not surprise. By the time I reached the gate, the fireworks were fading. Behind me, the castle glowed against the smoke, a perfect image of illusion. I walked out of the park, past the music, past the lights, through the archway where the air felt real again. She stayed behind in her dream. I left the simulation. That night, I made my decision. No waiting, no begging, no explanation. Just execution. I sat in the dim hotel room, fireworks still echoing faintly from Disneyland in the distance. My phone was lighting up on the nightstand. Messages, calls, apologies, excuses. I didn't open a single one. I picked it up, unlocked it, and went straight to my banking app. First move, cancel the card I'd given her. I remembered how proud she'd looked when I handed it to her months ago, saying, "Use it for emergencies." Turns out the emergency was me finding out who she really was. Next, I pulled up the travel itinerary. Every hotel, every reservation, every plan, canceled. The trip was officially dead. Then I booked the first available flight back to New York. Aisle seat, no return. The phone buzzed again. Please pick up. Can we talk? I didn't mean for it to happen like this. I muted the thread. By the time I checked out, she'd left another 10 missed calls. The clerk asked if I'd be checking out alone. I nodded. Just me. He didn't ask questions. Maybe he saw this kind of thing more often than people like to admit. At the airport, I moved like I was on autopilot. Boarding, security, gate, seat. Every step felt mechanical, like running a script. The moment the plane took off, I turned my phone off and stared out at the dark ocean below. I wasn't heartbroken. I was just clean. Back in New York, I didn't tell anyone what had happened. Not my coworkers, not my friends. I went home, dropped my bag, and stood in the middle of my apartment in silence. It felt bigger somehow. Empty, but mine again. I turned the lights on, opened my laptop, and started typing a list. Breach protocol, change locks, secure accounts, remove access, isolate variables, eliminate residue. If heartbreak's a bug, I said out loud, I'm the patch. The locksmith came at midnight. He replaced them with new reinforced ones. When he handed me the fresh keys, I dropped the old set in the trash without hesitation. Next came the cleanup. I started with her side of the closet. Designer clothes, shoes still with tags, perfumes I'd never liked. Each item went into boxes. Everyone labeled neatly with a marker. Lena's, box 1 of 14. No anger, no hesitation. Just sorting. By dawn, the apartment looked different. Minimal, sharp, efficient. The scent of her cherry blossom perfume was gone, replaced by the faint smell of coffee and new air. Then came the digital purge. I logged into every shared account. Netflix, Spotify, utilities, cloud storage, joint subscriptions. One by one, I removed her access. But I left one folder untouched. Inside, I uploaded a single document titled, What You Left Behind. It wasn't angry or emotional. It was data, cold and clear. Every sacrifice, every plan, every time I'd covered a bill, canceled a night out, fixed her mess, defended her. Every promise she made and broke. The last line read, You traded a life for a moment. I hope the exchange rate was worth it. I didn't tell anyone about it. I didn't send it. I didn't need to. She'd find it eventually, and that would be enough. By noon, I'd loaded the 14 boxes into my car. Lena's parents lived an hour away in New Jersey. I called ahead. Her father answered, voice calm but tired. Xavier, what's going on? Lena said you two had a fight. It's more than that, I said. She met someone in Japan. I'm done. Silence. Then a heavy sigh. Come by, he said. When I arrived, her mother opened the door. She looked confused, worried, and somewhere underneath it, ashamed. I gestured toward the car. Her things are all packed. 14 boxes, everything's labeled. Her father, Robert, joined us on the porch. You didn't have to do that yourself. I wanted it done right, I said. They helped me unload the boxes. Each trip from the car felt lighter than the last. When we finished, her mother wiped her eyes. We didn't know, Xavier. She hasn't called us since you left. We thought everything was fine. She'll call, I said. Eventually. Robert crossed his arms. You deserve better, son. She's lost. I know, I said simply. They invited me in for coffee. I sat for 10 minutes, explaining what happened. No anger in my voice, just facts. The kind of clarity you reach after running out of emotion. When I stood to leave, her mother stopped me. If she calls, what should we tell her? Tell her I wish her peace, I said. But she's not welcome back. She nodded, tears gathering again. I shook Robert's hand and left. That night, the apartment was silent again. I poured myself a drink, 1 finger of whiskey, no ice. I sat on the couch, phone face down on the table. 5 minutes passed. No calls, no texts, just quiet. I looked around at the clean apartment, the order restored. No trace of her chaos left. No perfume, no shoes by the door, no half-drunk glasses of wine. I raised the glass slightly, to no one in particular. 5 minutes of stillness, I said. That's all you get before the rebuild starts. Then I drank, closed the laptop, and started planning the next day. 2 weeks passed without a single word from her. The quiet had weight, but it wasn't heavy. It was clean. I'd gone back to work, started running again, sleeping better. The world had reset. Then, one Friday afternoon, my phone rang. It was the doorman. A woman named Lena's here, he said cautiously. Says she's your girlfriend. She's not, I replied. If she doesn't leave, call security. A pause. She's not leaving, sir. I hung up. 5 minutes later, the pounding started. Loud, desperate, chaotic. I let her knock for a while. The hallway echoed with her voice. Xavier, open the door. Please. I opened it halfway. She was standing there, hair tangled, eyes red, wearing the same trench coat she'd left in. Her mascara had run, but she still tried to stand tall, chin up, pretending she had control. "I just want to talk," she said quickly, voice shaking under the act. "Please, make it short," I said. She exhaled, relieved I hadn't slammed the door. "Ren cheated on me," she said immediately, "with 2 women from the gallery." I stared at her, expression flat. Didn't see that plot twist coming. She blinked, confused by the lack of sympathy. I didn't know he was like that. I thought he understood me. He said I inspired him. Apparently, you inspired a few others too. Her lip trembled. "Don't be cruel." "Cruel," I said calmly. "No, honest." She tried to step forward, but I didn't move. "I made a mistake," she said. "I was stupid. You were the one who actually loved me. You always did." I crossed my arms. "And you thought love's a subscription you can renew after the trial ends?" Her breath caught. "Please don't do this." "This? You mean not pretending anymore?" She started to cry. "I miss you, Xavier. I can't sleep. I keep thinking about how good you were to me. You didn't deserve what I did." "You're right," I said. That made her cry harder. "Please, I'll do anything. Just give me a chance to fix it." I stayed silent. Watching her crumble was like watching a system overload. Too many emotions trying to run on zero logic. She reached out to touch my arm, but I stepped back. "You can't even look at me?" she said. "You're really that cold?" I shook my head. "Not cold, just immune." She stared at me, breathing fast. "I still have the messages you sent me from Japan. You said you loved me." "I did," I said. "Then you debugged that feeling right out of me." She wiped her eyes with shaking hands. "I'll make it up to you. I'll do whatever it takes." I raised an eyebrow. "What exactly do you think you can fix? The trip? The betrayal? The moment you decided someone else made you feel alive?" She swallowed hard. "I was lost. I didn't know what I wanted. And now? I want you," she said, voice cracking. "I want us. Please." I almost laughed, not out of humor but disbelief. Then she saw the small ring box sitting on my console table near the door, the one I hadn't thrown out yet. Her eyes widened. "Were you going to propose?" I didn't answer. Her jaw dropped. "You were, weren't you? At Disneyland?" I nodded once. "Right before your big confession." She gasped. "Oh my God." Then more quietly, "Where's the ring?" "Returned. Day I landed." She looked panicked. "You still have it. Don't lie. Please, Xavier, give it to me. I'll wear it. Right now. I mean it." I laughed softly. "Even if it weren't. I'm done buying symbols for people who don't understand meaning." She shook her head violently. No, you don't get it. I can't lose you again. I can't live knowing I threw you away for nothing." "You already did," I said evenly. "That's the problem." She froze. For a second, she looked like she might scream. Then her shoulders dropped. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "You can't really mean that." "I do," I said. "You just don't like when people mean what they say." She reached for me one last time. "Please, Xavier, just one more chance." "No!" The word landed like a door shutting on a storm. She broke completely then, sobbing, begging, shaking. "I'll change. I swear I'll change." I opened the door wider, not for her to enter, but to make my point clear. "You should go." She hesitated, then whispered, "I hate you." "That's better than pretending to love me." Her face twisted, rage and heartbreak colliding. "You'll regret this. You'll wake up one day and realize you pushed me away." I smiled faintly. "I already woke up. You were gone." She stood there for another moment, trembling, before turning and walking down the hall. Her heels echoed until the elevator doors closed. I shut the door quietly. The sound clicked through the apartment like a full stop at the end of a sentence. I stood there for a moment, listening to the silence she left behind. It didn't hurt. It didn't sting. It just felt right. Then I locked the door, poured a glass of water, and sat down on the couch. Through the window, the city lights flickered like code on a dark screen. Endless, steady, predictable. Her chaos stayed outside. My peace stayed inside. The weeks that followed were quiet, steady, and sharp. Lena tried calling again. Different numbers, unknown IDs, even a few emails that slipped past the spam filter. I never opened them. She had already said everything that mattered back in that hallway. I blocked the new numbers and went back to work. My focus sharpened in ways it hadn't in years. I was getting things done faster, cleaner. The silence around me wasn't empty anymore. It was efficient. Every morning started the same. Gym, shower, black coffee, work. The body follows where the mind leads, and mine was finally moving forward. I dropped the weight I didn't need, physically and otherwise. By the end of the month, my manager called me into his office. "You've been on fire lately," he said. You're running circles around the rest of the team. Just patched a few bugs, I said with a small smile. He didn't get the joke, but I did. Outside of work, I kept things minimal. No parties, no distractions. I rebuilt quietly, piece by piece. The apartment was new now. Different furniture, clean lines, no clutter. The walls felt lighter without her framed aesthetic prints staring back at me. It looked like I'd finally debugged my own space. Then there was Arya. We'd worked in the same department for 2 years, but never talked much beyond meetings. She was a systems analyst. Smart, calm, dry sense of humor. No makeup filters, no hidden agendas. The kind of woman who didn't need to perform to be noticed. It started simple. Shared coffee breaks, quiet sarcasm about clients, the kind of laughter that sneaks up on you. She asked once, "You always this composed or just pretending?" "Depends who's watching," I said. "Good answer," she replied, smiling. There was no chase, no manipulation, no guessing games. Just two people showing up when they said they would. I didn't realize how much peace that kind of simplicity could bring until I had it. One Friday evening, she invited me to grab dinner after work. We sat at a small place near the office, nothing fancy. She ordered ramen. I stuck with steak. We talked about movies, travel, and work. Not once did she mention relationships or the past. When I walked her to her car, she turned and said, "You know, you make things calm. Most people make things loud." It hit me for a second. The same line, but from a different mouth. Lena once said, "You make things too calm. I need fire." Arya said it like calm was a strength, not a flaw. I realized then how much noise I'd survived. My phone was clean, but my laptop's cloud backup still had a folder from Japan I'd never opened. Later that night, I sat on my couch, scrolling through old files I hadn't touched since Japan. The photos were still in a folder I hadn't deleted. Most were harmless. Temples, markets, a view of Tokyo from the hotel balcony. Then I saw one of Lena standing under lanterns in Kyoto, smiling wide at something just off camera. For a second, I remembered the version of her I'd loved, the one before the filters, before Ren, before all of it. I hovered over the screen for a moment, then deleted it. No hesitation, no emotion, just control. Some men chase revenge. Others build silence so loud their ex hears it from miles away. The room was still. My phone buzzed once. A message from Arya. "Dinner tomorrow?" "Sure. This time, I'm not bringing a ring. I'm bringing peace." I put the phone down and leaned back. For the first time in months, I didn't feel like I was reacting to something. I was just living. A week later, I ran into Lena's father at a cafe near my building. He looked older, tired, but when he saw me, his expression softened. "Xavier," he said, "good to see you. How are you?" "Better," I replied. He nodded slowly. "Lena's back home for now. She's trying to figure herself out." "I hope she does," I said. "Everyone deserves to find peace." He gave a small, understanding nod. "You handled it right. You didn't fight fire with fire. Not many would have done that." "It's easier when you stop playing their game," I said. We shook hands, and that was that. No bitterness, no curiosity, just closure. That night, I took a walk through the city. The air was cool, the kind that wakes you up just enough to remind you you're alive. I carried that spare Lena kept in my pocket. I didn't know why I'd kept it, maybe just out of habit. When I reached the bridge over the East River, I stopped, held the key in my hand, and looked at the water below. It caught the light from the skyline. Cold, metallic, endless. I flipped the key once, then let it fall. It hit the water without a sound. Peace doesn't announce itself. It just replaces the noise. By the time I got home, Arya had sent another text. "Don't forget to bring that calm energy tomorrow." I smiled to myself. Always do. I turned off the lights, the city humming faintly outside my window. No ghosts left, no what-ifs. Just the clean rhythm of a man who finally got his balance back. She wanted a story. I gave her an ending. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.